Hello, everybody. John from the esports department here, going over the two-game LEC LPL slate for tomorrow. Interesting that they decided to combine the LPL and the LEC. I mean, I guess it's 5-game slates, but it brings me back to the LEC for once this split. I have not been doing LEC and LCS videos, as everybody knows, so this is kind of an interesting spot to be in. I think this slate's a little on the straightforward side, but let's talk about it. Sunning minus 900, they're 10-6 on the season, coming up against LNG plus 500, 8-8 on the season. Definitely, LNG is a team that has not really beaten any of the other top teams. They won one match against a playoff team, I believe, and lost every other match against their playoff opponents. Sunning, on the other hand, terrible start to the season, fantastic finish to the season, have been looking fantastic recently. It's hard not to give a huge edge in this matchup to Sunning, as the odds have at minus 900. That said, I think LNG might be the most intriguing team for me on the slate as far as, like, if you're looking at ownership and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't think we're going to see a lot of ownership out of LNG, and the playoffs in all the regions so far have been full of matches that were closer than we thought and upsets. And I could see LNG pulling maybe a little rabbit out of a hat and sneaking out of this series, but it definitely feels like Sunning is a really large favorite. I mean, statistically, it's just everything in favor of Sunning. Even the early game, which I don't think has been a huge strength of Sunning's recently, even the early game has been better than LNG. So I like LNG from the point of view that they'll probably be significantly lower owned than anybody else on the slate, but in general, I mean, Sunning should win this match a lot of the time. The second matchup, Schalke plus 175, 9-9 on the season, playing Fnatic, who is minus 230, who also went 9-9 on the season. Now this one's a little closer statistically, 1834 for Fnatic to 1771 for Schalke, a straight 0 to minus 28. A lower first blood for Fnatic, but a higher first turret. Schalke very bad with the Dragons, only 36% to Fnatic's 57, but they're a little bit better on the Herald, 50 to 47. So what's interesting to me is Schalke has a higher Herald percentage, but a lower first turret, which is bothersome for me if you're a Schalke fan. And in the early game, they're really not getting that much done, despite being more of a Herald team than a Dragon team. So they're going for Heralds rather than Dragons, which is the classic early game trade. But they're not getting more first turrets, and they're not farther ahead at 15 minutes. So even though they're taking the more aggressive early game route, they're not showing up with the actual advantages that those things are supposed to provide. The talent gap in this series, I think, is massive. I think Fnatic's talent level is just so much higher than Schalke's. And Fnatic has been very erratic this season. But for me, I actually think Fnatic's a bigger than 230 favorite in this matchup, like by a decent margin. I think they're actually like a minus 400 favorite in this matchup, maybe even bigger. The talent gap is so huge. And like I said, Schalke, they pulled some tricks out of the bag against G2, playing the Darius twice in a row and almost managing to steal a series there. But that was an isolated incident, and Schalke has not looked good in the second half of the season either, other than that performance against G2. It feels like this is the highest that people are ever going to be on Schalke for this point in the season, and probably about the lowest they're going to be on Fnatic. So this actually feels like a smash Fnatic spot to me, where I probably won't play any Schalke. I think they're going to be way over-owned given their chance to win this matchup. And I think this is a spot to pick up Fnatic when people are kind of low on them. Ownership-wise, should be pretty straightforward. Should be Sunning, Fnatic, Schalke, LNG. It's possible that Fnatic and Schalke are even switched. People seem pretty high on Schalke right now, and they're going to want to get big Sunning. So I could see Schalke and Sunning being a really popular combo. For me, I think you go with the favorites, or if you're playing a big enough field, maybe you play some Fnatic LNG. But I'm going to stay away from Schalke, I think. Looking at the cash games, I'm kind of interested to see who it projects to score higher. It looks like it has Fnatic as the higher scoring of the two teams. You can get a Niski captain. That's with Fnatic team, though. Could I play Sunning team with another Fnatic player? Like if I switched over, could I switch over to Upset and then play Sunning team? No. Could I switch over to Hillisang and play Sunning team? No. So I'd have to play Selfmade and SOFM if I wanted to do that. But then I think Bwipo is like a must play in this matchup. His projection's like not insane. In fact, it's lower than Bin's. But Broken Blade has been kind of a focus for Schalke, and Whippo is a focus player for his team as well. So I could see there being a lot of action in the top lane. Something like this self-made captain with 4 Fnatic, SOFM, and Angel makes some sense. What if I wanted to play 4 Sunning? Let me just quickly have a look here. What if I wanted to play 4 Sunning players? What would it give me? There's a self-made captain with 4 Sunning as well. Could you make that SOFM captain? SOFM captain is definitely lower ceiling than self-made captain, but still, if you're playing in heads up or whatever and you're looking for safety, I mean, I guess Sunning is definitely on the safer side, so maybe you go with this version even if the ceiling's a little bit lower. They go SOFM Bin. I think I actually just might manually, because of the matchup, I might switch this over if you can to Whippo and On. Yeah, I think I would go with this. It's one of the few times that I'm going to edit the projections just because of how I think this matchup might play out. I think Whippo is somebody that I'm really looking for. So SOFM with Angel, Huanfeng, On, Selfmade, and Whippo makes a lot of sense to me. Or you can switch it around and go with the 4 Fnatic with Selfmade, SOFM, Whippo. I think I would prefer Angel, Upset, and Hillisang, or maybe actually going On and Niski. This feels like another optional cash lineup if you want to try to shoot for some upside. There's no way to do this with Niski, right? If you go Niski and Selfmade, 7,200 is not enough for Angel. He's 74. It's so close. So close. And let's see, there's a 200 gap, a 400 gap, only 200 at support. So yeah, there shouldn't be any way to get the mid captain if you want to play the right people. So I guess you go the self-made captain. You could 3-3 it as well if you wanted, but I think you go the self-made captain. He's down here. This one if you want to take the risk towards Fnatic. We already saw what you can play with Sunning. Just really quickly, just to bring all the teams back and see who's like projected to score well if they win. Schalke, Sunning, Schalke, Fnatic, Schalke, LNG, Schalke, Fnatic, Schalke, LNG. So pretty much Schalke, if you think they're going to win, they should be your 4-stack, especially in GPPs. It's a little risky for cash, but if you think they're going to win, they should be your heavier stack a lot of the time. And then LNG actually and Fnatic are kind of close. Let's see, 3rd, 4th, 2nd, 4th, 2nd, 3rd. So Fnatic, if you're going to play LNG, you'd want more Fnatic than LNG in general. Interesting. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this slate. This is not a super exciting one. I mean, it's just a 2-gamer. The most interesting thing for me in this slate was trying to figure out which of these matchups was likely to be bloodier, because these are 2 of the least bloody LPL teams, and Fnatic, as you can see, a 23.9 death per loss is just freaking absurd, but it's actually true. I double-checked it this morning. So, Schalke for sure, if you're going to play Schalke. If you're going to play Fnatic and Sunning, it seems like the Fnatic side is where you want to be heavier stacked. So, that's what's going on this slate, guys. Appreciate you for stopping by. Another short video here. A lot of the playoff videos will probably be a little short when the matchups are just 2 on a slate or whatever like this, but hopefully we win some money this weekend. I know there's been a couple people in some GPP downswings recently. I feel you. I've had a bink here or there recently, but the first month and a bit of the season was definitely the stronger point for me. So let's soldier through it, crush these playoffs, get to MSI, and there's always a bunch of money to be made at MSI. So I'll talk to you guys again soon, and let's get that money tonight.